Hello there and welcome back to Laurence Plays Factorio Space Exploration with Krastorio² for a retrospective of how things went through the last 2 years of streaming. And this is part 3 of the retrospective, so in the first couple of parts we had a bit of a chat about what we liked about space exploration and how we felt all the various mods and things and the updates went. And we're going to carry on looking at mods today. And our first question is, what other mods would we add if we went through and did all of this again?
LTN. Unless we got to Factorio 2.0, in which case I would consider doing it without LTN because of the extra train options in there.
Yeah.
LTN was top of my list as well.
It was top of my list, but with a question mark, because it was a conscious decision we took.
Yes. And
yes.
I don't think that was the wrong decision. However, I think next time I would play with LTN because we've done it without now. So I think that was certainly interesting. I don't regret not playing with LTN, and not just because Tristan did all the hard work.
I very much enjoyed playing without LTN and coming up with ways of doing not all of the LTN stuff, but at least some of them.
Yeah, and I think, as I've said before, the hardest thing, the biggest things that LTN adds to the game, in my opinion, are prioritization and round robin. Most of the rest of the stuff you can replicate relatively easily, and Tristan did. The prioritization can be replicated, but it's harder. And the round robin, you just straight up can't do it. Well, you probably could, but yeah.
You'd need substantial more intelligence in certain.
Yeah.
I think anything can be done if you're willing to sit down and build a big enough brain of combinators. But at that point, the game has very much changed its nature.
Yes,
Stop
you're
being
not playing Factorio anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You're now using ones and zeros, build a computer.
Yeah, exactly, Sophia. Yes, yeah. It was nice. It was interesting to do it and make it work. But now we can go back to the better alternative. I also noted that people have talked quite a lot on the Discord about various mods. So where you've got K2 giving you more powerful assembly machines and chemical plants, there are mods that also give you more powerful centrifuges and atmospheric compressors and that sort of thing. It might be interesting to add some of those in. I'd need to make sure that they were sort of suitably balanced in in the same sort of way that the K2 ones are. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't be against adding those in. I also quite like Foxo's unlimited storage system, which is basically, it's a warehouse that uses more. I think it uses more power the more stuff you put in it. But it's not so much because I want the sort of unlimited storage that it provides. It's because I want when we have a station that's unloading a thing like these ones. These warehouses, I'm aware that these are quite UPS hungry because they are many stacks in a warehouse. Now, if you had something that works like a fluid tank, where you just have a thing that has a number, so this is 197,000 pyroflux, you can only put one thing in it at a time, but that's ideal for a station. If we could have a fluid tank that works for storing solids, where you can only put one thing in it, so if we tried to now put some copper in here, it would fail. But you could then put in your 25,000 iron ore, and it was just one stack that went all the way up to there. I think that would be really useful from a UPS saving point of view, whilst also giving all of the advantages of just chucking in a load of warehouses in a station. It would also be great for balancing as well, and many other things besides. That where we are using warehouses, even though they're not entirely ideal. It'd be quite nice to have something like that in, I think.
I'd play around with that and implemented it in our ore processing area because I was testing the mod for him, and yeah, it looked very much like it worked quite nicely. You have input and output limitations, and I think it's basically you've got 1 or 2 stacks of space inside it.
Yeah, that makes
probably
sense.
One actually.
It only really needs to be one, as long as it sort of has as long as that one stack is infinitely big.
It compresses quickly enough, yeah. And
okay.
that it fitted in quite nicely actually in the space, other than I think there's a beacon somewhere a bit too close by which upset it.
Okay. Yeah, and I feel like I don't even want it to do anything clever. I just want it to be a warehouse that only stores one type of item and therefore is much less UPS hungry than the warehouse that has all of these stacks that need to be checked through. So that's all I'm really looking for from it. Peter says that all the faster buildings are a single recipe single mod that updates the advanced chemical plant. So it's he thinks it's quite well balanced and plug. I assume it means it's by him.
Another mod I had on my list is Foul. Especially in late game, we discussed it quite often that we wished for Foul for the core mine expansions on all the outposts.
Yes.
Yeah, there was some bug. And, we
started. We wanted to add it, but it wasn't in a working condition. Our mod basically
Something conflicted.
Yeah, something conflicted. So, and I agree with our policy to not add mods to improve our life later on, but that I think
could have been an exception
we
because
should
we
have
wanted
been.
it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's right, Sophia, and it's another one I've made a video about. If you'd like, well, actually, 2 videos about if you want to go and watch them.
There's a
Shameless
mod
plug.
that removes empty mines when they finish.
Oh yeah.
Empty miners. That I would want to add to
Yeah.
future
Yeah,
runs.
it'd be quite nice.
I think we discussed that, didn't we? I think because that's one of my standard mods I usually have.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have thought if we discussed it early on that would have been added, but maybe we sort of thought nah or something. Not use that before. I don't know what it's like.
Sounds like us.
Yeah, don't know why we didn't get that one.
Another pair that I listed is the train and station autocolorers based on the resource they're carrying.
Okay, that's
Just to
quite
have
nice, yeah.
neat trains, different coloured trains flying around.
Speaking of trains, the next question is, what mods would we remove if we were to do it all again? And we did actually end up removing the train colour trails mod, because whilst it looked quite cool, it was apparently bad for UPS, so given how desperate we were getting, we decided that one had to go. I also think
The scanner is the same.
Oh, is that why I was going to say. Well,
Yeah.
I know we ended up not using Ghost Scanner very much, so that's.
It doesn't. It causes momentary UPS lag.
Oh yes, but it was about once every couple of minutes or whatever you set it to, wasn't it? I remember now.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can customize it, but
was
every
also-
time the whole game freezes for.
Do you remember the
half a second or-
screenshot mod we had in at the beginning as well? That caused
yeah.
freezes. as
Oh,
well.
that was horrific.
awful.
Yeah. What I like is that on the one hand, Faustrost has said remove K2, so as they make life easier, and then on the other hand, Topaz Viper said remove long reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems fair.
And in fairness, I personally would maybe not remove long reach out and out, but definitely dial it right in, because it completely removed the I've been killed by the biters, how am I going to get my body back element of things. So what you do is you get to one screen width away and you got my stuff.
What you need, and it can trivialise turret creep with biters as well. So what you need is long reach that only works if there aren't any biters within a certain distance.
Yeah, that would also work.
Yeah.
I mean, the convenience factor of like what you did earlier, plonk down a bit of space flooring so that I can breathe, because that's how that works. But anyway, and then just do the entire Arcusphere, empty all the machines out, just degunge it, make it just tidy up a bit. From standing in the middle of it all, it's like, well, I mean, okay, yeah, on the one hand, fair enough, but that's what Navsat's for.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it is quite annoying having to run around and get it up close into things to fiddle with them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I've been experiencing that quite a bit with in Satisfactory, and it's in a way it's even worse in that because the buildings are so much bigger and you have to slightly harder to run around. I think when you first play Factorio, it's quite good to be sort of forced to go up close to things, but otherwise, I think once you get to a certain point, it's quite nice to have.
Honestly, I don't know what I would seriously remove. I mean, some of the quality of life mods that you sit there and you say, personally, my gut feel is that's more of a personal choice than a sort of serious thing. They're not really changing the gameplay drastically. It's just, is it nicer or not? Long reach has an actual material impact on the game in that you've got the biters, the turret creep, etc. But yes, absolutely, running down a furnace stack can get irritating after the 5,000 or 6,000th time you've done it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a mod pack or a mod we had but we didn't use was the logistic request manager.
I use that a lot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually, somebody commented on that earlier. They said they were using it to change their personal logistics requests.
Yeah.
I don't really use it for that. I use it for dropping blueprints into blue chests.
Oh yeah, I use it like once every half year or something. So
Okay.
in the whole run, like two
I
or
use
three
it basically
times.
every time I'm setting up something up and I want to load things into my spaceship.
Yeah, and it's such a nice mod and does I think quite well. I think from the user experience, it's a bit fiddly to have the right order from select the chest, then open the UI, drop the blueprint in, and so on. I think with a more intuitive UI, I would use it more, and I would have liked to use it more in this run, especially for this switching between space or ground loadouts. But or at least I didn't. Yeah.
I think I might have made a video about that one. Either that or I was thinking about it.
Yeah,
I can't
you
remember
did.
which way around it was. Radjack is working on a Space Exploration and Angels mod combination. That does sound quite sadistic.
Yeah.
Still on the subject of mods, Doopy has also asked what mods I reckon are a must-have for the next run. So that's very open-ended. So I think I'm going to concentrate on the quality of life ones for this, because anything else is going to be entirely dependent on what the run is. But I do, despite what Mike was saying earlier, I do feel that far reach is more or less vital these days, because I just get fed up with having to run up to hug a machine before I'm allowed to do anything to it. I'm definitely going to miss the jetpack when I'm playing non-space exploration stuff. So we'll see how that one goes. Whether I can add that in separately. Alien biomes just makes the terrain a bit more interesting, so I might put that in even in non-space exploration mods. Even distribution, very, very useful, especially for loading turrets up. FNEI is virtually, I would say, is more or less vital for anything that's got reasonably complicated recipes in it. Module inserter, very, very useful. Picadoily is also fantastic. That's the one that allows you to move buildings around, sort of like this, after they've been placed. Very, very handy. Vehicle snap, very useful, especially in multiplayer. That's the one that makes your car only drive on sort of cardinal and, well, 16 semi-cardinal directions. That's makes driving around much, much easier. LTN, very, very useful. Would like to have that one. And fluids must flow is a good one, because when you've got lots of fluids, you need to be moving around. You get the big fluid ducts, and they're very, very handy. Sophia is suggesting I should have a look at a max rate calculator. Maybe I should, maybe I will. You never know. That's probably one I should approach as a tutorial, because then it actually forces me to learn it properly. Clown has a qual mod that lets you research more reach. Oh yes, I've seen a few of those. The thing is though, far reach is most important early on in the burner stages, and later on it doesn't matter quite as much because you get in the bots that do most of the stuff. So I think no, that's actually, whilst it's more balanced, I think it would sort of remove a lot of the point of far reach, because it's early on when I feel it's really, really needed.
There's a mod called YARM, which is more like a quality of life one. It allows for tracking of resource, how many resources are left in a patch, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Which I'm interested in trying next time I'm playing a modded game.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be quite handy to give you an idea of what's around, what's left, and what. Yeah.
So you can go, oh look, it's going to be a bigger faff if you've got multiple surfaces, but if you've got a single surface, go, oh look, I'm running low on coal now. I'll go out and grab a few more patches.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, and especially if you can set up alerts from it, so it automatically alerts you when you're starting to run out or starting to run low.
It puts stuff displayed in the top right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it could be handy. Yeah. Right, and now we've finished having a look through all of our ideas of mods and what's good, what's bad, what we should have had, what we shouldn't have had. Let's go in and have a look at some of the statistics of the game, and I think Mike and Tristan have got some numbers they would like to share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I went through earlier today and just looked up a few bits and bobs. So we started this run on the 1st of August 2022. So Thursday, this week, would be exactly 2 years since we started this run.
So whenever anyone asks you how long it takes to play K2SE, the answer is apparently about 2 years. If you play sort of 4-ish hours a week.
With four
of us. Going back listening to that stream, I'd forgotten how bad Laurence's microphone used to be. Because listening to that, oh my goodness.
It's interesting, because at the time, it to me at least, it seemed absolutely fine, but there were various complaints and things about it, so eventually I upgraded. But when you go back and listen to it, it does sound rather different, should we say.
So yeah, that first stream though, that was 1st of August 2022, and that was mostly getting through the burner phase for 3 of us. One of us, Laurence, spent the entire stream talking about what we were going to do.
Yeah,
and then you came off that you had in fairness, it is. Yeah,
yeah. I had essentially yes. It was quite literally. I had not this one. I had a save game with the window open like this, and I was looking at the K2SE one and just going through all of the mods we have installed to talk about them, because I mean that seemed like an important thing. There's quite a lot of them in there, and there was quite a bit to say about a lot of them, and I probably zoomed in on it a bit as well. And yeah, that did in fact take. But by the time I finished looking at that, the others had just finished the burner phase, and everything was now powered and running nicely. And I went, oh, apparently I've missed that section of the game. But never mind.
Yeah, it's fair enough. In fairness, going through the mods was a sensible thing to do. And then at the time, as we've kind of touched on already, the three of you all had roughly 2,000 hours in the game, and I had less than 500. And going back, I checked it. It turns out I did actually buy it as soon as it was released on Steam. I didn't buy it pre-Steam. I thought I had, but it turns out I haven't.
So despite having it for certainly longer than I had it, you played it for a quarter of the amount of time.
Yes, and looking at my achievements, there's two big clumps. So I played it quite a lot early on, and then had a couple of years break, and then played another block, and then had a bit more of a break, and then joined you for streaming, which is interesting. We've talked about it being about 400 hours IRL playtime, which leads us to I now have 1.2k hours in the game. So it's 700. I spent 300. I did my own aborted personal SE run, and I aborted it because I just got fed up. I was getting burnt out with Factorio. Marc also got another 700 hours on his game. He's now in 2.6k. Then Laurence up to 2.9k hours. He's done another 300 over us. That makes a level of sense.
Yeah, making videos and such like. It's another at least another hour of having the game running every week just to record the catch-up videos. And then if I do any other shenaniganery in the game as well, then that's a bit more time as well. So
exactly, yes. Yeah. I think Marc, you did a Pyanodons run as well, just casually.
Well, he did a little bit of a Pyanodons run. Nobody just does a Pyanodons run.
Yeah, but Marc is, if you remember the original teaser, he is the pinnacle of German efficiency and industrial prowess.
Yes.
Then Tristan has just got another 1.4k hours on this. He's up to 3.3k hours. He's just been churning it out, just because why not?
Yeah,
we haven't
used the achievements. We wanted to get them all before 2.0 comes out.
Yeah, which is fair. So we've had Laurence has made 200 videos exactly on this run.
Oh, okay. That's a nice round number. Unfortunately, there's going to be another sort of few after this.
So exactly 200 videos, which is covering 93 episodes, not counting the episode zeros. So the recaps.
Oh,
series
yes.
one.
There've been a few where I ended up making 3 just because I apparently can't stop talking.
Apparently. Yeah, I thought that was sort of jolly interesting. Personally,
yeah.
It's taken us 2 years to get here.
Yeah. 200 videos over 2 years. That's not bad actually. That comes down to about the 2 a week you'd expect, given that's most weeks have been 2 videos per week, I think.
That's the stats I had. Tristan, you had a few stats as well, didn't you?
On a slightly more violent note, some of us died a few times while we were playing. At the least number of deaths, we have our Spidertrons, which we had one of. And it died. Now, I was next with 2 deaths, followed by Laurence with 17.
Bit of a jump there.
Closely ahead of him, I guess, is Marc with 19.
Oh, so I have to kill Laurence 2 times to...
I would be able to help you with that, but I have just left.
And then with more deaths than everyone else combined is Mike with 47.
Yep.
For a total of 86 deaths.
86? I think we must have miscounted then, because I'm looking in the kills or the losses at the moment. We've got 80 characters and 7 character flyings. So we died 7 times in the air and 80 times on the ground, apparently.
Okay.
Unless the Spidertron counts as 1 additional.
The Spidertron is 1 additional. So we're missing 2 then. So maybe you and Marc died.
I don't know. I've done quite well at not dying for a while, apart from in those ruins we went out to.
For the things that killed us, it was tied for worms and biters on 27.
Interesting that biters got so many kills. I would have expected it to be worms and spitters because it's generally the goop that tends to be the most dangerous stuff in my experience.
Yeah, but the goop brings you from flying to on ground, and then the biters eat you up.
Yeah. Spitters only killed us 8 times. Point blank nuke was 5 times.
That's pretty bad that we didn't learn. Some at least one person did it more than once.
In fairness, I think that one's because if you're flying and you loose off a nuke, you kind of expect it to go over the rocks, not into the one that's. It's not at your feet. You're flying.
Yeah, I did. I think I remember accidentally unloading a nuke into a section of the base, but I don't think that killed me. I think it just.
Don't think you died there.
No, it just destroyed a big chunk of base, and then we had to have them come back in to rebuild things.
Our second enemy, the trains, did get 7 kills. Only 2 of which were from locomotives. 4 of them were from cargo wagons, and 1 of them was from a space cargo wagon.
Yeah, and I think most of them was me.
The space cargo wagon was me. Yeah,
so is that from walking through the middle of a train just as it starts moving?
Yeah.
Bonk.
Nearly happened to me, I think, 2 streams ago as well.
Yeah.
I may have missed that one then.
No, it didn't, but...
nearly.
Yeah, nearly.
Yeah, I think yes, it's fair to say that Mike was off doing a lot of the combat. Although Mark did a lot of combat as well in the early days, and that's basically
And to
where
be
all
fair,
of his
Tristan
guests came
at the start as well, but I think he was just more, I don't know, more
careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think Tristan did quite well at not dying too much because he tends to do everything by navsat as well, so he doesn't tend to actually go to dangerous places himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we definitely had some teamwork stuff in those early streams where I would distract the biters and Tristan would go and get some kills, and occasionally we'd swap over. But that tended to mean I'd be running along with a whole load of biters chasing me whilst Tristan's killing the nests, which is a very valuable thing to be doing, in fairness. Yeah, that's all good. But it does
slightly
also...
higher risk for you.
Yeah.
Peter brings up the important point that Tristan probably has less lag than anyone else because he's running on the actual server. So
that explains it.
He's got a bit of a combat advantage there.
Problem
so
solved.
That's probably why.
And as the person who's geographically furthest away, it's so if you go from Tristan's, you go east, and then it's Laurence first, then Marc, and you got to go all the way east. Keep going all the way around east until eventually you cross America, keep going east and get back to me.
That's how the internet works.
Yeah,
exactly.
The internet is known for only going east. It is true.
Yeah, exactly.
So your inputs are really fast then. It's just the responses to them that are slow.
Yeah. How many trees have we killed? There's what's that? Small asteroid, medium asteroid. So our arsenic maypapple tree, we've killed 96,000 of them. We've killed 56,000 starleaf beech trees, 30,000 emerald sequoias, 28,000 bile margroves, and many more besides. Scarlet ecta trees. Who came
That includes the trees killed by pollution, right?
Ooh, I don't know.
Probably.
Don't know.
It's not ones deconstructed by robots.
Yeah.
Because that is also about 45k for the highest. But they're in the buildings section.
So, yes, many trees have taken some sort of abuse or another. I'm not convinced Factorio is worth hosting on a cloud server because I don't think that running a server uses all that much computer oomph. Running a server and playing doesn't use that much more oomph than just playing, and so it probably wouldn't have been worth it. We'd have just ended up paying for a cloud server that wouldn't really have benefited us very much. I think the two benefits of having an always-on Factorio server are that it means that people can play at absolutely any time they want without having to worry about getting the person who's running the server to start the server up, and also it means you could then have it running in the background and just doing stuff AFK. But to be honest, I don't think Factorio lends itself very well to AFK because something is probably going to go wrong, and also if things aren't happening fast enough for you, you should be going out and building more of it rather than just going away and leaving it to run for a while.
Do you remember a year and a bit ago, we did actually get sponsored by, Laurence got sponsored by Trefoil.
Who's since gone out of business, sadly.
Who's since gone out of business.
Apparently sponsoring me wasn't enough to save their business.
We played for a little while on one of their hosted servers, and it was very good of them, and there was a lot of positives there, but at the same time, as Laurence says, it wasn't worth it for a factory. For something like a Minecraft server, absolutely. And many other games exist that would benefit from being hosted on a server. Factorio, given that it really isn't that intensive on the server overhead as far as I can tell.
It is. However, once you've got it's the same overhead for serving and playing. So it's bad for buying a server to host it on because the server that's hosting it needs to be really quite powerful, because especially with something like space exploration, it's a ludicrously big mod pack. You need a lot of RAM, you need a lot of processor, you need a lot of server. However, if you're playing the game and hosting a server, the game is smart enough to have a massive overlap, so 90% of the effort is shared, and you just have there's some graphical stuff for playing it, of course, and there's some communication stuff for hosting it, but you certainly don't need all that much extra to do both than you would do just one of them. But one of them is quite demanding.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant in that it's not a huge additional overhead, so why bother?
The big advantage we'd have is network speed, essentially, for downloading to join.
Yes, that would probably make quite a big difference. It does take about 5 minutes to join the server at the moment, I think.
Yes.
My internet is not great.
Yeah, the upstream struggles a little bit. Yes, as Doopy says, exactly. The drop-in, drop-out servers are fantastic. It's great for that. Or unless someone wants to leave their computer running the server all the time, which then makes it a bit less usable for other sort of computering stuff. But yeah, it certainly is a possibility, and there are reasons to have a Factorio server, certainly. However, our particular use case, not so much. one of the things we did mention briefly was how fast we're able to run it. So it appears that I'm able to run it at about 30 UPS. I think sometimes anyway. It's, my FUPs have dropped down to 19 at the moment, but it's sort of keeping up with on the UPS front. Tristan's about the same, and the other two, what was it? It was about 40 for Marc and 50 for Mike.
No, 40 for Mike and 36 to 9 for me.
Oh, okay. So yeah, even with some quite modern computers, we're still struggling a little bit. It's possible there's some performance gains to be had in here, but I think we got to the point where we kind of didn't want to spend too much time messing around with performance gains. We just wanted to try and get the game finished. Yeah, it did get a little bit to that point. How much would the 2.0 release help with the UPS? It's very hard to say. The last Friday Factorio facts suggested they'd managed to eke about 15% performance improvements out of the changes that they were talking about in that specific blog post. I don't remember seeing any numbers saying how much faster things have got overall, but I wouldn't be surprised if they've managed to eke another 50% or so out of it, which would suggest that then maybe my computer would run it at about 45 UPS, and Mike would then be up to about 40, wasn't it for you? So yeah, you might have then be up to running at full speed. You never know.
Right, say that'd be exciting, wouldn't it?
That'd be very exciting. And maybe in Space Exploration 0.7 will have further improvements to efficiency as well. To be honest, the reason it's slowed down a bit is just because we built such a big factory. There is so much going on that even if we've been following best practices, okay, we haven't been following best practices, but even if we had, we would still probably find that it was struggling a little bit, just because there's so much of it. And I think this is another good place to cut the video, so thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again for yet another video where we shall have a look at how we felt about playing with each other. So there's going to be a lot of very personal and derogatory comments in there, I'm sure, so that should be nice and funny. So I hope you'll come back and join me for that one. There will continue to be videos on Fridays and streams on them on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I shall be looking into Factorio 2.0 with Space Age as soon as it comes out, so keep an eye out for that one on Twitch and YouTube as well. Please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on anything. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.